Akombi. Good evening.
Bringing you Newscope, a daily news program of in-depth reports, interviews and commentaries. First, the highlights. Federal government unveils $60 billion gas expansion plan.
FG publishes new tax reform laws.
Oluyole designates initiates committee to revive moribund industries in Ibadan land.
Flash floods hits Indonesia island.
Now, the details. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has urged international investors to take advantage of the country's vast energy resources. The company described Nigeria as the African continent's top designation for oil and gas investments. The Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, Mr. Bayo Julari, made the call during the Energy Talk segment of the 2025 Gas Tech Exhibition and Conference in Milan, Italy. He explained that the federal government sought the investment to boost industrialization and strengthen Nigeria's position in the global energy markets. The NNPCL boss noted that President Tinubu has improved Nigeria's investment climate, adding that the gas plan aims to scale up Nigeria's natural gas production to 12 billion cubic feet per day. He further explained that the country is targeting at least $60 billion in investment over the next 5 to 7 years.
Nigeria's national grid has collapsed again. The megawatts generated dropped from 2,917.83 megawatts to 1.5 megawatts between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Wednesday. Shortly after the collapse, the Nigerian National Grid, an ex-handle that provides updates on electric power distribution, announced that a system restoration is in progress. At the time of filing this report, Discos had not offered any updates about the grid collapse.
Sales and business activities picked up on Wednesday at fuel stations across Ibadan metropolis, though not all outlets have reopened following the 2-day strike by the Petroleum Tanker Drivers Branch (PTD) of Nupeng. Our reporter Oluyole visited some fuel stations within the capital city.
The fuel scarcity scare that gripped Ibadan Tuesday is gradually easing up as some stations have reopened for business. Long queues witnessed at major filling stations yesterday have reduced, bringing relief to motorists and residents who had been stranded. The Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Nupeng workers, suspended its 2-day strike on Tuesday following an agreement with the management of Dangote Refinery to recognize workers' rights to unionize. Despite this, checks across the metropolis revealed that even though many stations are dispensing fuel, some stations are still yet to. With visited outlets selling at 870 naira to 875 naira per litre. Speaking with BCS News, some road users lamented how the strike affected their businesses and daily activities. They also expressed displeasure at not being notified ahead of time.
It's unfair. So they're supposed to give us notice whether something that will occur or will happen. So we didn't confident that yesterday. Everybody was just suffocate between when we are looking for petrol.
Everything but when I discovered there was strike the first day, I had to limit where I'm going. Today now, the same way I have to limit where I'm going. So we've learned to manage. It affected a lot. It affected us in many ways. You understand? Now I'm meant to go to Dubai. I could not go because of the fear of maybe I will not get fuel on the way or I will get on the way.
Because I did what can I sound lucky? If you want to Mira epo degwa ba àwọn kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ìjẹta ni kíní ẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣẹlẹ̀ pé pé queue aka tó ní pé àwọn queue kan tó wà ní ilé epo so kò tiẹ̀ yé yẹn rárá tó a pé bá ó fẹ́ reduce ni na bí ó ṣe bá yẹn ká bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí.
They appeal to government to always consider the implications of strikes or scarcity on citizens. Olamide Owolabi, Business News.
The federal government has officially published Nigeria's new tax reform laws in the Government Gazette, marking a historic overhaul of the country's fiscal framework. This was revealed today in a statement signed by the personal assistant on special duties to the President, Kamaruddin Yusuf, signed into law by President Bola Tinubu on June 26, 2025. The reforms establish a new foundation for taxation, administration, and revenue collection. The four legislations are Nigeria Tax Act NTA 2025, Nigeria Tax Administration Act NTAA 2025, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act NRSEA 2025, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act JRBEA 2025. The statement noted that while the implementation timeline for the NTA and NTAA takes effect on January 1st, 2026, NRSEA and JRBA will be effective from June 26, 2025.
The Federal High Court in Abuja today denied bail to 5 persons accused of masterminding the bombing of a Catholic church in Owo, Ondo State. The Department of State Services, DSS, had on the 11th of August 2025 arraigned the 5 men before Justice Emeka Nwite over their alleged involvement in the June 5, 2022 attack at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, in Ondo State. The 5 persons are to face trial for the attack, which claimed over 40 lives and left over 100 individuals injured. The accused are said to be members of the Al-Shabaab terrorist group. During the hearing of the case, Justice Emeka Nwite dismissed the bail application, citing the capital nature of the terrorism charges. The judge also cited the potential for the accused, who he said are members of a strong terrorist organization, to intimidate witnesses, influence the trial, or flee if released.
The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to decriminalizing attempted suicide in Nigeria, setting December 2025 as the target date for the reform. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, stated this today at a press briefing in Abuja in commemoration of the 2025 World Suicide Prevention Day, themed Changing the Narrative on Suicide, Creating Hope Through Action. He noted that a government white paper had been finalized, while a draft amendment to the National Mental Health Act 2021, now the National Mental Health Act Amendment Bill 2021, had been developed to repeal punitive provisions in the criminal and penal codes. Professor Pate further noted that there has been continued statutory engagement with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, along with his team, for additional inputs. According to the World Health Organization, more than 720,000 people die due to suicide every year. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among 15 to 29 years old, and 73% of global suicides occur in low and middle income countries.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has officially recognized the David Mark-led leadership of the African Democratic Congress. This development followed a period of internal restructuring within the party, which culminated in the emergence of new national officers aimed at repositioning the ADC ahead of future electoral contests. Alongside Mark, other principal officers now officially acknowledged by INEC include Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola as National Secretary, Dr. Ibrahim Mani as National Treasurer, Akibo Dalatu as National Financial Secretary and Professor Osahimen Osumbo as National Legal Advisor. With this formal endorsement, the ADC leadership is expected to commence a nationwide reconciliation and mobilization effort as the party seeks to strengthen its presence across the country ahead of the 2027 general elections.
This broadcast of Newscope comes to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. The Olubadan designates Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja has disclosed that a committee to review some of the industries that have closed down with a view to reviving them has been set up. Oba Ladoja made this known while playing host to the family of the 42nd Olubadan, late Oba Mahood Olalekan Ali, were in his Bodija residence to felicitate with him. Staff reporter Adebayo Abdurrafi was there to bring the details.
The coronation programs of Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, scheduled to commence 22nd of September, has remained the talk of the town like never before, and the trooping of guests who have been coming to felicitate with the monarch seems unprecedented. On the latest roll call of visitors, the Ogushua of Modakeke, Oba Joseph Toriola, who came along his traditional council all the way from Osho State, congratulated the Olubadan designate as he canvassed for the harmonious relationship among traditional rulers in Yoruba land.
I'm very, very pleased to see our father, the new Olubadan of Ibadan today. We are very happy and we pray for his long life, a happy reign and progress for the entire Oyo State and Nigeria.
Receiving the members of Aliwo family led by Senator Kola Balogun and Bobajiro of Ibadan land, Chief Tajuddin Aremu, who have equally come around to felicitate with him, Oba Ladoja stated his readiness to tap all experiences and resources for the good of Ibadan land. He stressed the need to revive moribund industries in Ibadan land with a view to further project the city economically, noting that the support he has been getting is tremendous. Apostle SMO Mustafa, popularly called Baba Shebi Oba, and the Provost St. David's Church, Kudeti, Very Reverend Akinyala Ayinla, in their respective remarks, said God has favored Ibadan with the coming to the throne of Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja. Also leading representatives of the Organization of Tadamnul Muslimin, OTM, Alhaji Abdullahi Adedeji, expressed optimism that the reign of Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja will bring prosperity to Ibadan land.
I saw crown, but I did not see governorship. It is crown that so Baba is coming to become one of the Olubadan, and it's going to have many years on the throne. So thank God that today I'm here to remember the day and to announce the day and what God has said about him.
Advice is that even as you have said in the message, that he should constantly consult God for the final say. We believe that as the Kabisi does this, he will surely not stand to regret his tenure as our Oba in the name of Jesus.
The former First Lady of Oyo State, Mrs. Florence Ajimobi, accompanied by former Secretary to the Government of Oyo State, Olalekan Ali, wife of former Deputy Governor, Mrs. Alake Adeyemo, and former Head of Service, Mrs. Anna Ogweso, among others, expressed happiness at the emergence of Oba Ladoja, whom she described as a unifier and rallying point.
So elated and happy to be here today to felicitate with you, because I know that this is the Lord's doing. It is something that we have prayed for a very long time, and I'm happy that it's happening in our eyes. I thank God on your behalf, and I pray that your reign in Oyo State will bring peace, unity, which you stand for, and love and togetherness.
The Babaloja General of Oyo State, Alhaji Yekin Abbas, led traders and artisans from various markets across Ibadan land to felicitate with the Olubadan designate, describing him as an unprecedented lover of traders for the past 2 decades. As at the time of filing this report, more people are still trooping to pay homage on the Olubadan designate. Adebayo Abdurrafi, BCOS News.
The Federal Fire Service, Gombe State Command, has warned residents against the life-threatening practice of scooping fuel at accident scenes following a string of tanker crashes in the state. Speaking on the incidents today, the State Controller of Fire, Deputy Controller Suleiman Mohammed, said 3 tanker-related incidents were recorded within the first 9 days of September. He stressed that officers and men of the command responded swiftly to the latest crash, preventing a major disaster. He also appealed for more caution on the highways, stressing the importance of safety and prevention.
The Lagos State government has announced plans to remove illegal structures built under high-tension cables in the Makoko community, Yaba, Lagos. The move comes after the state, through the Office of Urban and Regional Planning, removed dilapidated buildings and shanties at the Oroshoki end of the 3rd Mainland Bridge in Koshofe local government area. The Permanent Secretary, Office of Urban Development, Bolan Oki, revealed that the Lagos State government has held several stakeholders meetings with residents of Makoko, expressing concerns over the continuous building of shanties under high-tension cables, thereby posing dangers to residents. Oki explained that the state government is worried about the legal extension of the shanties under the 3rd Mainland Bridge by the residents. He said the government will continue the enforcement activity at the Makoko community by removing illegal structures in order to prevent looming dangers.
Flash floods have swept across 2 Indonesian islands, including the tourist hotspot of Bali. The floods killed at least 6 people, leaving 4 others missing, according to the country's disaster agency. Foreign Desk Editor compiled the story and other stories from Poland and Nepal, as presented by Bimbo Akobi.
Torrential rains since late Tuesday triggered flooding in 4 districts of Bali, forcing the evacuation of 85 residents. National Disaster Mitigation Agency BNPB spokesperson Abdul Mohari confirmed in a statement. In East Nusa Tenggara province, flash floods struck Flores Island on Monday, cutting road access and disrupting phone services across 18 villages. Agency Chief Suharyanto said both disasters were fatal, with Bali still inundated as of Wednesday while floodwaters had receded in Flores. Indonesia is prone to seasonal floods and landslides during the annual monsoon, which typically runs from November to April. Officials warn that climate change is intensifying the severity and duration of storms, increasing the risk of extreme weather. Earlier this year, heavy rains triggered deadly floods on Java Islands, where 3 people were killed in March and 25 others lost their lives in central Java in January. Polish and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO forces have shot down several drones that violated Poland's airspace during a large-scale Russian aerial attack on Ukraine, the Polish military confirmed today. The incident marks the first time Polish and NATO troops have directly engaged during the conflict. Fighter jets were scrambled overnight after more than a dozen drones entered Polish territory. Authorities said Polish and allied military aircraft were deployed, while ground-based air defense and radar systems were placed on the highest alert. Prime Minister Donald Tusk confirmed that an operation is underway related to multiple violations of Polish airspace, describing the incident as a large-scale provocation by Russia. Local officials reported damage in eastern Poland. In Wielki, a drone or similar object struck a residential building, damaging the roof but causing no injuries. Debris collection and further investigations were continuing as of Wednesday morning. Ukraine, reacting to the incident, said Russia was testing the West with its latest attack. And Nepali soldiers patrolled the streets of Kathmandu today seeking to restore calm after protesters touched Parliament, set fire to homes of politicians and forced Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign in the country's worst unrest in 2 decades. The protests, which began on Monday over a government ban on social media and mounting corruption allegations, quickly escalated into nationwide violence after a deadly crackdown left at least 19 people dead. Military tanks rolled through the capital as soldiers broadcast warnings via loudspeakers, declaring that vandalism, looting, arson, and attacks on people or property will be treated as punishable crimes. By Wednesday, firefighters were still battling blazes at government offices, supermarkets, and the tower block of the Kantipur Media Group, while plumes of smoke lingered over the city. Kathmandu's airport is expected to reopen later in the evening, officials said. Oli, 73, a four-time prime minister, stepped down late Tuesday, saying his resignation was necessary to pave way for a political solution. His whereabouts remain unknown. Bimbo Akambi, BCUS News.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has urged international investors to take advantage of the country's vast energy resources as the country targets $60 billion in investment over the next 5 to 7 years.
The federal government has officially published Nigeria's new tax reform laws in the government gazette, marking a historic overhaul of the country's fiscal framework.
The Olubadan designates Oba Rashidi Adewolu has disclosed that a committee to review some of the industries that have closed down with a view to reviving them has been set up.
And on the foreign scene, flash floods have swept across 2 Indonesian islands, including the tourist hotspot of Bali.
That's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Mary Adedapo and delivered by
Oluyole. Good evening.
Afolakemi Akobi. Good evening. Don't forget to tune in for the Yoruba edition at 8 o'clock tonight.
Sports and entertainment, we got everything you need and so much more, yeah. 98.5 FM, Oluyole. 98.5 FM. Hear me now, to go down to the #1 station, getting on quality information, lighting up your day in so many ways. Tune to 98.5 FM, Oluyole. 98.5 FM. 98.5 FM. Oluyole. 98.5 FM. 98.5 FM.
Kéré o, ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló pàrokò ìbéèrè ránṣẹ́ sí yín ká lè jọmọ bó ṣe ń lọ. Wọ́n ní ǹjẹ́ mọ̀ pé ní báyìí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ńlá ni kéèyàn já yanrìn wọ́rọ̀kúta ọparun òkúta lílà àtàwọn èròjà àkọlé sójú pópó ṣe mọ̀ pé ẹ̀yìn àmọ̀ kìí ṣe léègbé bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ lójú pópó kìí ṣàyè ìgbọ́kọ̀ tó ti godó sí bóyá lẹ mọ̀ pé ìwà ìbìkítà wọ̀nyí ló ń sọ àwọn òpópónà tó fẹ̀ dáadáa di tórótó ṣàkóbá fún lílọ bíbọ̀ gerege ọkọ̀ àníṣẹ́ àṣà pálapàla ìlòkulò àwọn ọ̀nà tíjọba fowó gọbọi ṣe ló ń ṣokùnfà ìdíbàjẹ́ wọn láìtọ́jọ́ tó sì ń gbọ́n owó tùlù tó yẹ kó lọ sórí ìpèsè àwọn ohun amáyédẹrùn míì lọ lákòótọ́ ọba. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ wá gbọ́ àjèjì ọwọ́ kò gbẹ́rù dórí níjọba ṣe fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ gbárùkù ti òun fún ìrànlọ́wọ́ ara wa pé ká ní àyípadà ọkàn